All right, joined now here by Bills head coach Joe Brady. How does that feel? Joe Brady, head coach. This is our first combine as a head coach in the NFL. What's going through our mind here?
Yeah, not a lot. Just trying to think, just trying to sort through it all, right? And usually I'm not here at this point. We got defensive formals tonight usually, so it's a little different for me. But I'm enjoying the process so far.
So obviously it's a different scenario. We had 10 openings, and yours is unique in the sense that you're staying in the same building.
Yeah.
What was that process like to where you're now in a completely different role? You're hiring members of your staff, but also there's guys that you were already with the same players. How did you find that? Like, where do I need to put my time and energy in how I'm putting this together?
Yeah, it's unique, and look, there's obviously coaches that I try to lean on through the process, but it's a unique situation, and there's a lot of guys that that I have a lot of respect for that aren't on our staff anymore, but. A lot of people told me if you get one opportunity, you only get one opportunity. So make sure you're getting exactly how you want. And, obviously what comes with the role is tough conversations. And, I love how the staff kind of came together and the way that they're communicating. And we have so many different personalities and different perspectives and guys that weren't, there's a lot of guys I haven't coached with before, and so it's a lot of guys that are thinking differently that, are going to give a new lens to us here in Buffalo.
Is that something you strive for? Because so many questions actually here. I heard Kevin Stefanski answering one going, how do you find the balance between guys guys you've coached with, and then guys that you don't know but you're hearing they're a really good coach and you want to try to get that relationship? How did you figure out that?
Well, it's like everybody. I never been a head coach, right? And so I said I was as ready as I could possibly be to be a head coach, right? Without getting the experience, But when I was putting together the staff, it's a unique perspective because I didn't want to just hire friends. I knew that even though I'm coming from offense coordinator, we need to grow our offense too, and we're not going to grow our offense if I just hire people that think like me, have been in systems like me. It's like, how do we continue to look at it from a different lens? And so it was really important for me to blend that and then also get a bunch of different personalities. Like if I'm talking with guys, I'm like, that guy reminds me of myself, I don't want a lot of that on my staff. So it was a fun experience. I felt like I was an agent. I was just on the phone nonstop.
Come on, man.
But it wasn't hard to convince people to come to Buffalo, and that speaks to the volumes of obviously Josh Allen and everything that has been built here. But so far so good. But we know none of this. It gets real now. Yeah, so here we go.
It's certainly real. And you mentioned Josh, and you guys obviously have such a great relationship. But what now changes in your relationship? And you've done this, right, Joe? You've been a quarterback coach, and then you've been an OC, and relationship with players change as you change roles as well in some aspects because of how you're coaching them and how does that change now between the two? Have you had that conversation with Josh?
Yeah, look, I don't think it's as drastic of a change as it might. Again, I went from QB coach to OC to head coach. There's a level of respect and understanding, but he knows that I want him to have success. I want to do everything. It's all I think about is how do I get Josh Allen to get everything that he deserves. And I know, and when we every decision that we make in the organization is with Josh Allen in mind. And I know that might sound, but that's when I was in New Orleans. That's what Coach Payton did. If we were going to do stuff, we asked Drew Brees. Doesn't mean you're always doing it, but it's input. It's that ownership and knowing how important everything that you do and act. And but yeah, we're attached to the hip now, and it's not all. We know it's not going to be all perfect. It's going to be good, but we have a shared alignment that we're going to be able to figure it out. And because we know one another through the good and through the not so good that inevitably comes, that we'll be able to figure it out and get through it together.
You mentioned New Orleans. I want to touch on that real quick because Sean told me that you guys spoke. What did you reach out, or I don't know who reached out to who, but what was that conversation like, and maybe something he told you about what you're getting into as a head coach or anything in down that kind of avenue? Because, I think he brought you into this league, right?
I was calling him because he's the one that told me not to go to LSU. So I was calling him to see if whatever he says for me to do, I was going to do the opposite. No, I'm kidding. Look, I'm not talking to you right now without Sean Payton. He is so many ways that I think and so much I learned was from him, and I don't take that lightly. So any opportunity that I have, I know how busy he is. I understand that comes with the role. So for him just to be able to pick up the phone call and be able to have the conversation, our offense coordinator and our defense coordinator were both in Denver last year, so I know that's not a fun spot to lose a staff, but there's not enough time, and I don't have enough good words to be able to speak on Sean.
I love that. All right, a couple before we go. You mentioned those guys coming from Denver. What did you like about Jim and what he can do on the defensive side of the ball that was so attractive to him? Because, I mean, you weren't alone in your opinion on him.
Yeah, I think, look, I remember Jim when he was defense coordinator at Wisconsin, take the playing days out of it just as the coach, right? And he was doing that at such a young age, even as a coach, right? It wasn't like he was coaching for a lot of years, and now next thing you know, he's calling Big Ten, Big Ten games and doing it at a high level. And then I always take note when I'm watching tape of, offensive, defensive units that I think are doing a really good job, or they're coached really well, and a lot of it is the coordinator. But I understand as a coordinator that I don't do it all by myself, right? And so I always kind of jot down both players that I enjoy how they play, or coaches that, man, I really like how these coaches coach, or you can tell that they're really well coached. And he was a guy that I've had written down. We played him in the playoffs last year, thought the same thing, and then we played him in the last game here, and it was like I need to communicate with this guy, and you get on the phone with him, you talk with him, you go through the interview process, and it was a no-brainer.
Is that a different setup now going in through this process, because you're going to kind of change the style and the schematics of your defense a little bit about what now everybody in the building is trying to make sure from the personnel side, from Brandon and from Terrence and Brian and all those guys, and what now you guys have on the defensive side? It's different. How's that transition gone, and what you're looking for as you're at a place like the Combine?
Yeah, I think it's a moving target, right? Like we want good football players, right? Like at the end of the
universal,
day,
yes.
And I know that sounds unique, but like we're gonna tell me who we got, and we're gonna build a system around them.
Okay.
Right? And yes, there's prototypes, and yes, there's, hey, we want this and we need this and whatnot, but we're not going to just make it. We're going to do this no matter who we have. And that's what was really big and important for me with Jim, is he had that same kind of mindset. But we've gone through this process of saying, hey, don't eliminate anybody. We can't get enough good players and different type of skill sets and make it work. But it's been a lot of fun, and there's a lot of guys on our team that fit a skill set they might not have been asked to do before or whatnot. And so we're in the process of kind of figuring that all out, but a lot of good communication and with our defensive coaches all kind of saying, hey, this is exactly what we would look for. And we have a great personnel grouping that is our personnel group that is open to all the thoughts and communication.
That's outstanding. All right, so we're looking for everything that we can make Josh successful with.
That's it.
We had an outstanding run game in the way James carried the football. I mean, great name, by the way. What else can you add to help Josh? I know a lot of people say an outside threat. Maybe that's already on your roster. Maybe that's somebody growing. Maybe that's somebody somewhere else. What else do you want to put around him to make sure that this offense can be the best it can be?
Yeah, well, we call him Jimbo, not James. Sorry.
Maybe I should go by Jimbo then. I'm not a Jimbo.
Jimbo.
I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I'm a Jimbo.
Yeah, look, I think there's so many different ways, and I think there's so many different ways to help Josh, right? Like it doesn't just have to be an offensive player that helps Josh, right? Improving our defense helps Josh, right? It gives them another possession or two in the game. So there's so many different avenues. The run game helped Josh Allen, right? So the natural a couple years ago was like, how do you help Josh Allen? Well, it's just Josh Allen in the pass game. Well, we've helped him in the run game. He's continuing to grow his game, and so there's a lot of different avenues. I don't believe it's just, hey, one set answer. I think anybody that we bring in the building is being brought in with the mindset that it's going to help him in one way or the other, because it's going to help our football team.
Love it. Well, good. I guess we'll stop talking. You keep working.
That's it.
This entire week. Is there one aspect of the Combine that you glean on more than anything else that you can take out of this week that you're learning? Going, this is, whether it's the formal interviews, whether it's what you see on the field. Is there a part of this week that you take the most out of?
I think it's a little bits and pieces. Tell me the person, and there's little different pieces of it all. Like it might be a guy that, look, we know the person checks all the boxes, so I want to kind of see how they move around. Then I want to see how they check all the boxes with us, but what are they like? When I'm observing them in their group when they're out on the workout. There's some guys where I know that they can play. I just need to be able to see if they love football. There's so many different avenues, but I think it's so important. If any interaction with the players is a positive, whether we like it or not. There's something we can take from it.
All right. Enjoy this piece of the puzzle.
I
you got a lot more. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, James. Appreciate you, man.
Jimbo, you mean?
Thanks, Jimbo.
Yeah.